Welcome to the Traffic and Transportation Decision Meeting. I'm Councillor Lynn Stagg, Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation. My opposition spokespeople are not here at the moment. Hopefully they will turn up soon. Some housekeeping rules. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. Please assemble at Queen Victoria's statue in front of the civic offices. In order to comply with the Portsmouth Cultural Trust fire marshal regulations, anyone who signed in at the Guildhall reception desk should remember to sign up when leaving the building after today's meeting. May I draw everyone's attention to the fact that this meeting will be live filmed from a camera at a fixed location at the back of the meeting room, and the recording will be on the Council's website. The camera will mainly capture the backs of anyone making deputations, but there will be some footage of them as they approach and leave the table where the microphones are located, and of people entering or leaving the room whilst the meeting is in progress. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record the meeting on the understanding that it neither disrupts the meeting nor records those stating explicitly that they do not wish to be recorded. Please, can everyone remember to use the microphones provided when they are speaking? So I'll introduce, I'm sure you know most people, Mike, but would you like to come to the table rather than feel completely isolated out there? So if I go around.
Joanne Ward-Smith, Democratic Services.
Pam Churton, Assistant Director for Transport.
Felicity Tidbury, Transport Planning Manager.
Joanne Eldridge, Programme Manager and Transport.
Access and Equality Advisor.
Okay.
Right, do we have any apologies? Not so far, okay. Councillor Chowdhury, you said he's around. Right, okay, he might be held up somewhere. Declaration of members' interest, no, I have no interest, but we'll see if anybody else turns up. So the first item on the agenda is the Local Transport Plan 3. And are you going to introduce that? Come on then, Felicity, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the Local Transport Plan 3. So following the approval of the £650,000 budget allocated by full council in February 2019, this report outlines the 2019-20 implementation plan, which is a programme of works with an aim to deliver the policies outlined within the Local Transport Plan strategy. The schemes listed within the implementation plan contribute to the locally agreed priorities within the LTP3, representing each of the policy areas with a balanced geographical spread of the city. The implementation plan includes schemes that Portsmouth City Council has a statutory duty to deliver, including access for people with disabilities, travel line and rights of way. It also includes schemes which aim to improve transport links and promote local growth, such as citywide traffic signal improvements, real-time public information, and citywide early release low-level traffic signals. The investment in these projects qualifies as match funding for the Department of Transport's Transforming Cities Fund Tranche 1 and could result in further central government funding to develop and implement initiatives in the line with the Local Transport Plan. An update to the Local Transport Plan is currently being undertaken to outline how transport can address and respond to challenges being faced within the city. So therefore, this paper recommends that the attached Local Transport Plan 3 Implementation Plan 2019-20 is adopted, that authority is delegated to the Director of Regeneration in consultation with the Cabinet Member and Section 151 Officer to agree any minor amendments and to the implementation plan that may be required to take account of future funding changes and policy announcements. And finally, that it's noted that an update to the Local Transport Plan is currently being undertaken to outline how transport can address and respond to the challenges being faced by the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. We've been joined by two further officers. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
Michelle Love, Safer Travel Manager.
Wayne Layton, Finance Manager.
Thank you. Mr. Dobson, would you like to address, do your deputation now address the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, and also, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Mike Dobson. I'm here actually to give two deputations because I'm involved in local community, so I've got two separate organisations I'm representing. The first is the Friends of Portsmouth Association, and the second is the Portsmouth Cycle Forum. If you like, I'll try and get changed in between so I can put my lycra on for the second one. I'd like to deal first with the Friends of Portsmouth, and that is that in the LTP plans, it does say that there's a programme to address residents and councillors' speeding concerns, promote road safety, reduce vehicle speeds and encourage the use of active travel modes. And this may take the form of raised tables, speed cushions and junction treatments. Now, in Old Portsmouth, we believe that we need this, so I'm here to emphasise and reinforce the conversations we've had with councils and meetings before about this, and it's updated with some recent information, a most recent survey. The first thing is that High Street is a commuter rat run. Speeding is getting worse. The speeding intimidates pedestrians and cyclists and deters an increase in active travel. It increases congestion, air pollution and traffic noise. There have been community requests for over 30 years for a zebra crossing on the route that school children take to school to cross High Street between Highbury Street and Peacock Lane. And there was a survey done most recently in November 18, and I'm going to share the results with you. I've also got comparison with with Queen Street. Now, unfortunately, not everybody has got a copy of the handouts. I didn't realise there were going to be so many here, and there are unused copies over by councillors. But the first one is that there's a photograph here which is taken during the morning rush hour with a mother and child trying to cross the road. The car there is speeding. In High Street, 83% of drivers exceed the speed limit. 46% exceed 24 miles per hour, which is the speed enforcement threshold. Every day we have 129 drivers exceeding 36 miles per hour and would warrant a summons. Almost one driver a day goes at over 50 miles per hour. But there's no police enforcement. And because it's only a speed limit, there's no traffic calming, so drivers are able to speed with apparent impunity. The second photograph here, this is another crossing, and it's perhaps not too clear, but it's actually showing that there are two cars passing, and in the morning rush hour we get one car every 6.5 seconds, and that makes it extremely difficult for parents or the disabled or anybody to be able to cross the road. And it's quite a long detour, 140 metres up to the pedestrian crossing at the High Street, and then at the grammar school, and back down again, or an even longer detour to the traffic island by the crossroads. Now, the next one is, this is a graph here, and I know that Pam Turton's got one. I'm afraid I can't share that with others. But this is a comparison between Queen Street and High Street. Queen Street is declared as a speed compliant area. The mean speed is 19 miles per hour. And you can see that actually Queen Street, which has got a fair number of build-outs, the compliance with the speed limit is quite reasonable. But the red columns are showing the speed non-compliance in High Street, and you see that it's a lot worse. So I've been asking, if Queen Street is speed compliant, is High Street speed non-compliant? The second graph is actually showing us percentages, and I know it's a long way, but you can probably see that how the red bars are rising, and that is showing that we've got 46% of drivers are exceeding would warrant a fine or an education enforcement day. That is over 5 times worse than in Queen Street. And in Queen Street, they had only one car in over a week that did over 50 miles per hour. In High Street, we got 10. habitually, Port City Council analysis is to look simply at the mean speed and compare that with the speed enforcement threshold of 24 miles per hour, and say that if the mean speed is under the speed enforcement threshold, then there's not a problem. But this analysis shows that mean does not show the spread of results. It doesn't show the high speeds. It doesn't account for the fact, or it doesn't recognise that the speeds are lowered by traffic that is stuck in congestion. And so we get a heck of a lot of speeding. And sooner or later, it's going to be that we're going to get a tragedy. I've been asking, what is the definition of speed compliance? And therefore, what is the definition of speed non-compliance? What is the threshold? Where are the criteria laid down? Who reviews it? How does the council achieve consistency in its assessment? And I've been asked that since September, and I still haven't got the answer. So, Madam Chair, the final points are, we'd appreciate more transparency in how the council makes the assessment of the criteria for what counts as speeding and when action should be taken. It's evident that the 20 mile per hour speed limit is ineffective. We recognise that police don't do speed enforcement because of shortage of resources, and actually they don't have the manpower to do it at the rush hours. Community Speed Watch hasn't been running for 6 months because we've been waiting for equipment, and even when they do, that's 1 hour every 2 weeks, which is a 0.03% coverage. We need traffic calming. We need the 20 mile per hour limit to be changed into a 20 mile per hour zone. We need more crossing points, another zebra crossing, and we need some traffic islands in Broad Street. Now, the Portsmouth Area Traffic Study has been running, and we've welcomed the very good engagement between the community and Port City Council over this. I believe the report has been finalised, and I've already made a request via Mr. Stephen Flynn, which I hope has got to you, that we would very much welcome the opportunity to be able to discuss the draft before it is published. And I hope that the message that I've given this morning shows the importance of addressing contentious issues before going to print. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Pam, would you like to make any comments?
Well, if I can start with your last point first. Yes, you're quite right that the Old Portsmouth study is now in its final draft stage, if you like, and we would be delighted to share that with you as chair of, as a representative of footbound traffic and transportation issues. So we would be delighted to have that dialogue with you once we've been able to share it with the ward councillors, who as yet haven't seen that draft. So that will be on its way to you, and obviously at that point, once we've discussed that, we will be able to go back to the group and the wider community to share the findings that we've made and actually focus on addressing the issues that have been raised in that report in the best possible way that is going to be acceptable to the community and meet their needs. So we are feeling that was the right approach to take, looking holistically at the area so we could act in a holistic way and in an effective way that responds to the multiple issues which were raised. So hopefully that will give you comfort. With regards to the speed compliance and what makes it compliance or not, I am more than happy to go back to the officers and ask them to provide that detail to you, and apologies for the fact that you've been waiting for that since September, so I will get that information to you as soon as I can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Has anybody else got any other comments on this? No? Can I say, I mean, I haven't seen the draft, I've just seen the pile of information, but not had a chance yet to read it. But I am very aware of the amount of time the officers have put into this over quite a long period of time. So it may not be coming to you as quickly, the answers, the solutions, as quickly as you would like, but there's been a heck of a lot of time and effort put into it, and I'd like to thank the officers, and there's a whole variety of them for doing that. And we were discussing it earlier, but as I say, I haven't read it. We were just discussing the outline. So we are going forward with this, and once you've seen it, and once the ward councillors have seen it, things can be picked up, and then we can move on from there. But rest assured that it is definitely on the cards, not being shelved at all. There's been a lot of work put into it, and I mean, you will tell from the thickness of the report how much work has gone into it, just in typing it in, let alone the work behind it. So, okay. Can I just pause there and welcome Councillor Chowdhury. Have you any declarations of interest, Councillor Chowdhury?
No, I have no declaration of interest, and I am sorry for delay.
That's right. Thank you. Can you put your mic off? Yes. Have you got any more to say on this, or do you want to go on to the next deputation?
Just say thank you for those reassuring words, Madam Chair, and also to Pam. I hope that nothing I've said indicated any frustration with the delay, because we've maintained a good dialogue with the lead authors and fully understand why, and we're aware of the huge workload that is on officers, including what might or might not happen on the 29th of March.
Just don't mention the B word, okay?
I don't think I did.
Would you like to go on to your second deputation now?
Okay. Thank you. Yesterday's multi-vehicle accident on the M275 was another illustration of just how fragile is our road network to shock, and the importance of promoting active travel and making sure that those promotions are effective. So I'm here representing the Portsmouth Cycle Forum, and normally I'd be here arriving in haste with my wearing yellow lycra and carrying my pannier bags and my helmet. I won't get changed this time. However, the first thing is that in October 2017, full council asked the Portsmouth City Council to endorse the Portsmouth Cycle Forum's A City to Share, and also to commit 10% of the LTP capital expenditure for cycle improvements. This was a wonderful result, and we remain very grateful to the Council for this far-sighted decision. However, the devil is in the detail, and I'll give some examples of how the implementation may fall short. I'm not experienced in understanding local government finance, but I spent some time going through the reports and with the help of my colleagues on the committee, and as far as we can work out, that the 10% of the LTP will be spent on cycle schemes. Two junctions, which are Cotton Road, Burfield Road and Stubbing Avenue, and then Fratton Road, Lake Road and St Mary's Road, will be modified with low-level cycles signals, which will allow earlier release for cyclists. That means that cyclists can get ahead of the main traffic, and it particularly is important to provide protection against drivers who are unobservant and who might turn left into a junction into a cyclist. There are also going to be some work at Guildhall Walk, Alec Rose Lane, and also in Milton Road with Priory Crescent Junction. And it looks as if this might come to £65,000, so the target is met. But we do ask, is this being the best use of limited funds? Is it going to give value for money? We also note there are no specific active travel schemes in the budget. And also we're not clear about how much of this is going to be spent and how much of it is actually being offered up as match funding for the Transforming Cities Fund, and if that match doesn't take place, will the money be spent? Also ask, how do the priorities here compare with remedial work elsewhere, where we have got, on our cycle infrastructure, we've got a lot of legacy problems. Now, the next one, and I'm afraid only some of you will be able to see this, but Councillor Chowdhury will be able to see it. It's a photograph of what may be the first installation of low-level cycle lights in Anglesey Road when the junction was extensively remodelled. We used to have a good cycle facility there. There was an advanced stop line. There was a cycle lane of 1.2 metres width, which, although it wasn't as wide as we would like, allowed cyclists to get into the advanced stop line reservoir. However, with that remodelling of the junction, the advanced stop line was removed. The cycle lane has been narrowed to 1 metre, which is well below the minimum acceptable width by the Department for Transport. And the photograph there shows the intimidating chasm that is made when an HGV positions itself right next to the cycle lane. This isn't making cycling attractive, and people don't feel safe. It's also, I'd argue or ask, was it actually necessary to spend the money here? Because Park Road just beyond, there's no left turn, and the curb was modified so that drivers can't actually make that turn. So the purpose of allowing cyclists giving the protection seems to be negated. And then the next thing is that the early release, the norm is about 4 or 5 seconds, but actually in this location it's only 2 seconds. And although the council has got a very far-sighted strategy to encourage active travel, there's also something called the network management duty, which is the requirement that a local authority shall make the best use of its road network. And all it takes is one officer who, in his or her opinion, decides that the best use of the network is to take road space from cyclists and give it to motor vehicles, and we end up with something like this. Port City Council spent a lot of money in making things worse. This is not value for money. On the next page, and again, I'm afraid only some of you will see this, but this is a photograph of a legacy problem we have in Stamshaw Road, and Councillor Stagg is aware of this because we discussed it last October. This is where the cycle lane is too close to the parked cars. If a driver opens a door, it goes into the cycle lane, and if unlucky, the cyclist will be hit and could actually be knocked off the bike and into the path of a motor vehicle. It means that cyclists can't use this road and comply with the highway code. Back in 2005, when the scheme was implemented, Port City Council ignored the road safety recommendations and didn't follow Department for Transport processes. And so we ask, what has to happen here to get it remedied before somebody's killed? So, yes, we're spending £55,000 on low-level cycle lights, but how do those compare in priorities with sorting out some of the legacy problems we have? So the key points are, we'd welcome more and better consultation. We are having meetings, and a few months ago we did meet with Mrs. Love, but what we'd like is more that we are actually consulted when things are being proposed, when things are being designed, rather than just seeing this is what it is, because Anglesey Road, there was some consultation and the council did something completely different. The rate of progress in improving the cycle network is painfully slow, so please don't ignore the legacy problems that we have. And I'll repeat the open invitation that I regularly make, and I excuse you from this, Madam Chair, but you used to be a cyclist, which I respect. And also, if Councillor Bosch was here, I would also put on record that he has accepted this invitation. But it is that if anybody doubts the veracity of what I'm saying, please let me know, and either I or one of my colleagues in the Cycle Forum will arrange for a guided cycle ride between the north and south of the city in rush hour to experience at first hand what it's like to cycle in what is claimed to be our compact and flat city ideal for cycling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Pam.
Thank you very much. It was a very comprehensive deputation. There was a range of points. I'm not going to take them in order, I'm afraid, but the good news first, I suppose. Yes, the schemes will be going ahead as outlined in the LTP implementation plan. The match funding is meant for the delivery. That's what the match funding is, and I'm delighted to say that we have been successful in levering in 2.2 million from the DFT for the tranche 1 of the Transforming Cities Fund. The Transforming Cities Fund is obviously a key programme of interventions going forward, with the aim of creating a game-changing public transport network, and cycling is part of that. I note in your presentation that you say it's a small part. Yes, it's not the major focus. The major focus is on the mass rapid transit system, but obviously we are very keen that the stops are integrated with the cycling infrastructure, and that the bus priority measures that we will be looking to implement through the Transforming Cities bid take into account the needs of cyclists and pedestrians in particular. And in that vein, we would be delighted to welcome you and any other member of the committee to look at the proposals that we're putting together to make sure that we are taking every opportunity to maximise the benefit for cyclists in that bid as we progress. So that is an open invitation, and perhaps we can catch up afterwards as to how we can do that going forward. More and better consultation, yes, as ever. Well, we welcome that. I had hoped that things were significantly better than they had been previously, and that you were more engaged with the officers. Obviously, Michelle is new in post since October, which is fantastic, and is very committed to ensuring that we are coordinated in our approach to improve active travel. But again, if that's not working in the form that you're hoping, then let's revisit that. Certainly, in terms of not forgetting the legacy issues, that is certainly something that we are keen to continue on with. We did have a joint list between the City Council and the Cycle Forum identifying the areas that were of most concern. And that's possibly something that we need to have another look at if you don't feel that that's still being looked at. The areas that you've mentioned, such as Shipwrights Way, that is fully funded and is progressing. So there are works that are ongoing that aren't represented in the local transport implementation plan, because that's only one stream of funding. There's obviously a much wider there are other funding opportunities for us as a City Council that we do use for cycling investment. A lot of strategy work is going through the local cycling and walking investment plan. I think that's what it is, the LC WIP process. So there's a lot of other work streams that are happening. But yes, would welcome your and your colleagues' input.
Thank you very much for that, Pam. We had a very good meeting with Michelle Love and officers last October, and we'll look forward to continuing those. At our committee meeting last Friday, everybody was taken aback with the Transforming Cities Fund, the LTP, and nobody knew anything about those plans for the lower level cycle signals, hence our eagerness that we can maintain a high, good level of dialogue.
Noted. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry about that, because I've been aware of the cycle lights for a long time. So communication we need to obviously improve. And there are other areas. I mean, I've been banging on. I don't know for how long. Goldsmith Avenue. I'm making that a mandatory cycle lane, which Pam assures me is the next one on the list. Yes. The other areas that you're right. I don't cycle any longer because I'm old and decrepit now. But other places, Stamshaw Road. Yes, I totally agree. That is something that needs to be dealt with. Arundel Street. I'm coming down there today, and cars parked in the cycle lane, which is not on. And the other area that really bothers me, because I go over it several times a day, is Copner Bridge, because we've been talking about various possibilities there of improving the situation for cyclists, because it's a bridge, the road bends. It's very, very narrow, and the number of times I've gone over it, either in the bus or in the car, and there's been a car in front of me that's actually in the cycle lane. So if there's a cyclist there, with a blind crest, they would stand no chance. So I'm very aware of it, and I do keep going on about it. But I have to say, I mean, the Transport Department, at the moment in particular, are under huge pressure with lots of things. And we don't have as many officers as we used to, and some people are doing 2 jobs where we've lost officers. So it's not an excuse, it's just a statement of reality. So it's one of the problems that people are having to deal with. I mean, it's not the only department, but I think transport is particularly under the cosh at the moment. So, but it's all been noted, and I've certainly gone on about it for a long time. So I'm sure we will get things rolling as fast as we can. Councillor Chowdhury, have you got any comments to make?
Yes, I got a big comment. What I thought in Portsmouth, we are just making solution for the bike ride in Portsmouth, because we haven't got any proper solution here, because we got narrow road. As in London, I saw that they got proper channel, proper road for the bike, but we haven't got this facility. We haven't got their chance because narrow road. As you said, when people can open the door, open and close, bike will be on the road. Accident can be accident. But one side parking issue, another side narrow road. So there is just minimize to maximize. That's making solution for it, for the bike. So I think is a proper solution. We have to think about the payment. Maybe we can somewhere where is the big payment, we can make little bit narrow the pavement and make the proper bike channel, bike road. Because what we're doing just for solution, one cutting, because there is parking issue all over the city. All over the city, people are frustrated. We take the parking from the Goldsmith Avenue, put the bike lane. But again, where goes this car? They are struggling. And what you said, we are frustrated, people are frustrated in this city for the parking issue. Even bike are not safe at all in this city because roads are narrow. There is not a proper anything, just for solution. So I think we need to think for the future, how we can make the proper things for this city, not for the solution. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Mr Dobson, have you got another comment?
Yes, just to thank Councillor Chowdhury for that and this eloquent summary of the perennial issues that we have, which we've been discussing, debating for decades in the city. Yes, our road network was designed, most of it, in the Victorian era, when we did have bicycles, and we didn't have many motor cars, and it is always going to come down to competition for road space. But with our air pollution, with our congestion, with the need to improve public health, reduce the obesity, adults and children, active travel with walking and cycling, and then public transport, that has to be the way ahead. Speaking personally, in my own household, 3 adults. At home we have 1 car. The car gets used about twice a week because I normally cycle to work, my wife walks, my son walks or gets the train. And there are a lot of people in Portsmouth who say that they need their cars when actually they actually find it very convenient to have their cars, and there is a difference.
Thank you, Mr Dobson. Any of the officers, any comments to make? I did say to Pam this morning, I was a bit surprised there was no mention specifically about cycling within the LTP 3, and I mean there are things going on, so it would be good to actually add them in, because it is a high priority, particularly at the moment with the air pollution problems, etc., that we have, and congestion. I mean, we've got far too many vehicles on our roads, an increase of 17,000 in 10 years car ownership. So and we really need to put some emphasis on cycling, and it'd be nice to see that written in. Otherwise, I will agree with everything that's been recommended in here. Thank you, Mr Dobson. You were free to go unless you wish to remain to listen to the rest of what's going on. But thank you very much. And
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Councillor. Thank you for your time.
We're now on to item 5. Sorry. Let me find it. Right. Who is going to be talking about this? Demand responsive transport. Is it?
No, it's transforming cities in the same culture.
Joanne, you confuse me, and you know how easy it is to confuse me. Yes. Item number 4, please.
Thank you. So this is the Transforming Cities Fund paper. So Portsmouth City Council was one of 12 successful local authorities to be shortlisted for the Department for Transport Transforming Cities Fund. Portsmouth has been working in partnership with Hampshire County Council and now have the opportunity to bid for a share of 1.28 billion capital to deliver critical infrastructure in Portsmouth and the wider Solent area. The bid is part of an ambition to deliver sustainable communities, spread prosperity and increase productivity by improving connectivity between where people live and where they work through the delivery of a transformational mass transit network. So the Department of Transport have released 2 waves of funding for the Transforming Cities Fund. The first was an opportunity for shortlisted authorities to bid for quick wins, and this is for projects that could begin within the financial year 2018-19 and support the overall bid. So since publishing this paper yesterday, it was announced by the Department for Transport that Portsmouth City Council and Hampshire County Council were successful in their Tranche 1 bid. And this was a package of 2.2 million for Portsmouth City Council, and this includes real-time information across the city to improve customer journey experiences, key junction signal updates, and there's 3 junctions including Copner Road, Burfields Road, Stubbington Avenue, Fratton Road, Lake Road, St Mary's Road, and Eastern Road, Havant Road, Farlington Avenue. So further information on the government's ambition for the transforming cities for Tranche 2 was published recently in February 2019, and we are currently now developing our package of measures for the bigger Tranche 2 bid, which will be a submission of a draft strategic outline business case on the 20th of June 2019, followed by a full strategic outline business case on the 28th of November 2019. Therefore, the recommendations of this paper are that the progress on Tranche 1 for the Transforming Cities bid for Portsmouth and the wider South East Hampshire region is noted, with a further report on the programme detailing progress towards Tranche 2 to be provided following the government's announcements. And secondly, that authority is delegated to the Director of Regeneration in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation to agree contractual and other arrangements as necessary to facilitate joint working to develop a strategic outline business case for the Transforming Cities Fund with Hampshire County Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Can I just sort something out, because the announcement was 4 million, so I'm presuming the rest of it is for the Hampshire part of the bid, but because if people are listening to this, watching it, they're going to be confused.
Yes, so there were 2 bids submitted as part of the Portsmouth City Region bid. So the one that Portsmouth was included in was it was for 2.647 million, of which 2.2 million specifically was for Portsmouth City Council and then 400,000 for Hampshire County Council to develop their real-time information, recognising that actually we're looking at continuous routes into the city and it doesn't stop at the boundary, so we're looking at those continuous routes. The other bid that went in under the Portsmouth City Region South East Hampshire Rapid Transit bid was for the Gosport link, which is Rona Bridge. So that was specifically put in by Hampshire County Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Chowdhury, have you got any comments?
Yes, we got the money, then just going to improve. I'm happy to accept the recommendation.
If people had seen Pam and myself yesterday when she came to tell me. We were like children, so pleased. No, it was really such good news because there's such a lot that needs doing, and we're starting it. And can I express my thanks publicly to Felicity for the brilliant bid that she obviously put together, because, without it we wouldn't have got, well, we might not have been as successful as we are. So thank you very much. Any comments from any of the officers? No? Okay. Then, yeah, I'm very happy to note that we've got it. I'm very pleased that we've got the money, and for the authority to be delegated to Tristan to carry on with the good work. And now we're on to item 5, Joanne. Yes, all right. So who's going to do this? Pam.
Thank you very much. So this is a report on behalf of the Director of Community and Communication. Was requested in order to provide an update on the work currently underway to support the provision of people-centred transport options, which will encourage and enable independence for those whom access to public transport is limited due to a disability. The report outlines the history regarding demand-responsive transport within the city, looking at the various options which have been undertaken in the past, and references a report undertaken by Age UK and Portsmouth Disability Forum, which concluded that the overall transport provision in the city had improved in terms of accessibility, and outlined the fact that it was more important to promote independence through the options for travel within the city. So in seeking to deliver this more people-centred response, we are currently undertaking 4 work streams. We're looking at demand-responsive wheelchair-accessible private hire vehicles and hackney carriages, and to increase the availability of these wheelchair-accessible taxis. We're also looking at a Hive minibus, which is due to be launched in spring 19, which will distribute mobility scooters across the city, enabling people to access the facilities in their local areas. Progressing with a Good Neighbours scheme, which provides transport through a group of individual volunteers using their own vehicles. And then the final one is an investigation into the extension of the use of the concessionary bus pass for disabled people to allow them to utilise their pass all day.
Thank you. Could you explain for people who will be watching this, the Hive? Because it's nothing to do with bees.
No, it's not, and I'm going to pass over to Gina.
Gina, thank you.
Well, the Hive is a concept, but it's based in the Central Library, so it will be a centre for the voluntary community sector. So people will be able to go there, get advice of what they need, and it's just going to be the centre hub for hopefully that people will use to gather their information.
Thank you. Do you want to make any comments on this in general?
Really, it was just to look at the concessionary bus pass. As we know, this has been going on for some time, because what we're looking at, hopefully, is the home-to-school transport. There are people there, young people that go to college, school, that use home-to-school transport, or we have to get a bus pass for them. So by doing this, hopefully it will save money there, which will override what it will cost to actually do this. Because obviously we want to encourage people, especially people with learning disabilities, going to day services so they can carry on with their purposeful activity, and they're not put at a disadvantage, because as we know, disabled people are the most disadvantaged group, so we need to do what we can to encourage people to be independent and get out and about using public transport rather than relying just on a bus picking them up, taking them to certain areas.
Wayne, you're the holder of the purse strings for this. You are looking into the financial viability of us supporting this, aren't you?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm hoping that we will persuade Wayne that it is a very good cause. And Gina, you as somebody who is disabled, obviously you would support it for lots of reasons. Can I just pick up the point you said about the homeschool transport? I mean, apart from saving the money, I think socially it is probably better for the children as well, because they'd be mixing with able-bodied people, and that's the world they live in.
Also, by doing this, we can obviously try and do some training with individuals. So it's like travel training that we used to do years ago, and it's about promoting independence, and so they can actually get from A to B, but it's also a process of working with the parents, because sometimes parents are very protective, and, you know, so it's about reassuring them that they can do it.
Thank you. And do you know how far we've got with the private hire and Hackney people about disabled? Because I believe there were only 2 vehicles that were with disability, whatever the word is, friendly.
Yeah, it's certainly a very small number within the city, and we are continuing to work through those options with private hire industry at the moment.
Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury.
Yes, in our city, we got very less disabled facility in transportation. Especially, I like to recommend to bus service. They have no proper facility for the wheelchair access. And this is very important for us to make sure all the bus service, they have proper facility for the access for the wheelchair. Then, and also, we can't put the pressure on the Hackney taxi or private hire taxi too much, because they have to live on it as well. They have to see their finance, their capability, because they are bread and butter on the wheels. So we have to consider that matter, and also we have to encourage them, the Hackney license holder and private hire, they got as much as possible for access for the disabled people, facility for the wheelchair. And this is very important for the private sector, and also for the school children, university students, because I saw that sometimes parents are frustrated to drop the children in the school far away distance. If they got a communication with the bus service, their children can easily go to the school, and also we got a less traffic on the roads. So we need to see how can make the good opportunity for the transportation for our next generation, not for the solution. That's all.
Thank you. Can I just add, I mean, the buses actually, these days, I mean, they're low floor, they lower themselves down, they've got ramps, and I think if there's more than one person in a wheelchair, that's when you start getting a problem, but otherwise they are much better these days. Gina, you want to come in on this?
It was just to say that from 2016 we actually had all the bus stops had been raised, so we were actually way ahead than other authorities, and now all the buses are super low floor buses, so you can get on. Obviously it's about, sometimes there's issues with drivers, but it's about awareness and training, and yeah, you're right, if there's one wheelchair on there then there's not room for another person, so you have to wait for the next bus. But I mean, luckily in Portsmouth, where it's such a densely populated area, we have buses all the time, so you don't normally have to wait that long.
Thank you, Gina. Anybody else want to say anything?
I just wanted to add on taxi drivers. Through the licensing committee, they are looking at section 165 and 167 of the Equality Act for maintaining a list of all the private hire Hackney carriages for disabled access. Obviously what we need to do is work with taxi drivers. Don't want to put pressure on them, but it's about working with them and trying to work out how they can gain something extra if they do the extra training for disability awareness training. And that's a lot of the issues that the drivers don't have that awareness training. They don't know how to get people on and off the in the taxis. So it's about working with them and trying to improve their awareness.
Thank you. I think we're making progress. It has been perhaps a bit slow, but I think we're getting there. So the recommendations, well, just it's to note, isn't it? Yes. So I'm very happy to do that. And I want to say we're still looking at other. We did look at a particular company that was providing demand responsive, where you use an app, and unfortunately that company folded. But we are still pursuing that to have another avenue for disabled people. So yes, thank you. I'm very happy to support all that, note it and support it, and thank you all very much.